besos, mis deseos se vuelven realidad. Sueño del amor que me das por una eternidad. Sueño que me quieres con corazón y mucha emoción. Sueño no más de tu amor que no me va a dejar. Cada mañana al despertar, te juro que no hay nadie más. Sueño el amor que me das una vez más. Por las querencias que me das, te quiero mucho más. Sigo soñando en ti, con gran emoción. Sueño que me quieres con corazón y mucha emoción. Sueño no más de tu amor que no me va a dejar. Cada mañana al despertar, te juro que no hay nadie más. Sueño el amor que me das una vez más. Por las querencias que me das, te quiero mucho más, mi amor. Sigo soñando por ti con gran emoción. Sigo soñando por ti con gran emoción.
We are back, gente hermosa, and that was Sueño with Veronica La Consentida. We are here at the Hacienda Hip Recording Studios, and I want to shout out, a big shout out and a big thank you to La Joya, who is also here with us today. She's one of your promoters, is that correct?
Yes, I'm very excited to be working with La Joya.
Well, I tell you what, you're a lucky ducky. You're a lucky ducky because I met La Joya, maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. And she was a dynamo. And I said to myself, this lady's going to do some big things in our industry. And before you know it, she's here with 3 or 4 artists that she's promoting. And she's on it. So big saludos to her. Thank you so much for being here with us. All right, so we're going to continue on. So tell me, Veronica, how did you get started in the music business, and how long have you been singing?
I've been singing since I'm about 7 years old. I started singing as a little girl, and my dad had a restaurant in San Fernando, California, and I was kind of like the highlight of the evening. So that was when I started singing live with a mariachi in his restaurant when I was about 7.
Wow, so you were belting it out with those lungs? How cute! I love it when I see little kids like belting those mariachi songs out.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. My mom and my dad, I mean, they always had their issues. So when my mom would hear mariachi songs, she would get really emotional and she would cry. You know how those songs pull out the tears. You know,
do.
They call them cortavena songs. You know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I kind of just started singing by mimicking her. So when I sang with a lot of feeling because I watched my mom sing with a lot of feeling.
So your mom was a singer?
No, she didn't really know how to hold.
She didn't know how to hold the note but that wouldn't stop her. She still loved to sing.
She loved to sing. So I guess you could say she kind of lived through me. Once I started singing and she saw that I was on key, she was like, oh, sing. So I would sing with a lot of sentimiento, like really like emotional. And so when I would sing with the mariachi, the people would get all like, oh my gosh, this little girl's singing about, the man leaving her, and I'm only 7,
You could get into the role.
I could get into the role and like start crying,
Wow.
So that's pretty much. And then I just sang throughout my teenage years, just a little, not too much. But as I got older, I thought I wasn't gonna sing much anymore, but it just seemed to always call my attention. Like, I could do that. I love singing like that. I could sing like her, like I would watch people, and my mom would say, why are you not singing? You could sing like her,
That's so sweet.
Yeah, so here
she
I
was a
am.
big supporter.
Oh, very big supporter.
Your number one supporter.
My number one fan.
Oh,
Yeah.
your number one fan. I love it. My mom's my number one fan.
That's awesome.
And when you talk to her, you can tell.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's like, Mom, really? Okay, Mom.
Yeah.
But that's that love, that motherly love, right? And then, of
Yeah.
course, when they believe in what you're doing, they're going to support it 100%.
Right, exactly. And I think, like, my mom is not with me anymore, but I really feel like she is with me, because I kind of could sense everything that's been happening lately with the music. I feel like she's the one helping all that happen. I really do.
Oh, and I'm sure of it. When they pass on like that, we're all made out of energy. The soul is just the bright energy of light that's out there. And that's why they say you've got your guardian angels. Sometimes, and I have to say this, I know people say that's silly, but when my father passed away, there were several pictures where there's this light shining on me that came out of nowhere.
That's beautiful.
And so I always tell people, that's my dad. And you just gotta look for that energy, and that energy sometimes, like I had another artist that said his mother used to love butterflies. Well, when he passed away, everywhere he'd go there'd be butterflies. When he'd go sing, a butterfly would come out of nowhere outside. And I was like, that's that energy, flowing through the universe, just letting you know. So I'm sure your mom is with you somewhere in some sign. If you haven't seen it yet, look for it. Okay,
I've seen a lot of signs. Actually, when I met Javier Villarreal, which is the producer, I was so surprised that his last name was Villarreal, because my mother's maiden name is Villarreal.
Ah, okay.
And that was like super interesting to me. And then that name just kept popping up everywhere.
Oh,
So
there
it was
you
like
go.
the name. And I was like, that's my mom's name, yeah.
There's your sign.
Yeah.
That is so funny. And when I first saw the picture of this light, right, it looked like a thumbprint. And my phone's always getting dirty. I'm always putting creams and lotions on my hands. So my thing is always dirty. My phone's always dirty with fingerprints. And so I said to myself when I saw the picture, because it was like on my face, I said, oh, there's a big smudge on my face. Then when I turned it, it was on my face and my brother's face. I said, geez, it got bigger. Then when I turned the picture again, it was my brother, myself, and another artist. And it was humongous. And I was like, wow, this is weird. So I sent it to a photographer friend of mine. He's like, that's your daddy.
Wow.
Hey, that's your daddy. I said, you don't think it's a finger smudge? And he's like, no way. Because look, it's to the right, it's to the left, and then it's huge. And these pictures were taken like one after the other.
Wow.
So, and then ever since then, I've been on the lookout for this light. And I do see it often. One time when we were at the studios here, it was huge, and it was right over the recording board, and I was like right over, Robert Ibarra, who's my other half here, and he's our engineer and producer here, and I happened to be there with him when we were recording another artist, and there was that beautiful light, and I was thinking to myself, there's Daddy, really supporting all these new artists that we're recording, because, our goal here at Hacienda is to continue the 45-year legacy of Hacienda music, but to also find the new legends of the future, right? Wow. So that was that big sign. We're on the right track.
Right. Well, that's beautiful.
So, yeah, it's a passion, which is why we do this, right? Which is why we share this. And when I talk to you, your passion's just flowing out like a river. And I'm telling you, everybody out there, she comes in here and she's like, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to help the world. And I'm like, you go, girl. And then I was like, why don't you do this and this? And I'm adding to it.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let me get a pen really quick.
Yeah, add it to your bucket list. And if you need my support, you got it 100%.
That's great. That's awesome.
But I tell you what, let's continue on the road and your story as you evolved. So, you sang off and on during school.
Yeah.
And then come graduation, what did you end up doing? Did you think about doing music after that? Did you
Well, yeah, I always wanted to do music. I found out that it was my happy place. Everybody has to have a happy place. And I felt like if I didn't do it, something was missing, So I got married, raised kids, and I just felt like, okay, when I'm able to, I'm just gonna sing here at the house, or just do whatever I could do. But I can visualize, and I kept visualizing myself in front of big audiences, and I'm like, why am I dreaming of this? I have a family I'm raising now. Why do I have these visions? Why am I thinking I'm going to be in front of thousands of people? I mean, it wasn't like a small little, a bar thing. No, I visualized massive crowds like clapping for me, and it wouldn't go away.
Wow.
And so that's when I started writing. I decided to start writing. I met up with a person that was looking for someone to record. I wasn't in a singer mode. I was in the mom mode.
There's a different mode there, I'll tell you that much.
I had to turn it off, turn it on,
Turn it on, yeah.
Exactly. And I went, and he was really like just quiet when he was listening to me. He says, you have a very different sound. And I said, I do? He said, yeah. He's like, you should really consider recording. I had never recorded in a studio. Completely different than singing.
Oh, it is.
A lot of people think, oh, I'll go to the studio. I always perform. Well, it's different because you literally have to transcend and just try to translate these lyrics so people could feel without looking at you.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, so what is your voice going to do?
And you got to make sure your voice is in key, on tune, and on time.
And with the emotion. And you have to know your lyrics.
Yeah. And you got to know your lyrics. If you're reading your lyrics in the studio, then you're not ready to cut your tracks.
Right.
And that is a number one rule here. We don't want you reading your lyrics when you come in to record.
Because you can't put the emotion behind it if you're trying to read it.
That's right.
You read and you sing differently.
You need to feel it and just be the song.
Yeah. You have to indulge in it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did after I recorded. I said, I still want to do this. Okay, well, once the kids are so age, I'll start again, So I did little things here and there, but then there came a time where I just started recording a whole bunch of stuff. I said, I want this album, I want this, I want that. And like I would talk to you before, I kept looking for people to kind of do this style, the Tejano style. But being from Las Vegas, there was no one.
Wasn't there. Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So then you were recording music and being in Las Vegas, since it was not or is not a huge Tejano-based place. You did, what kind of music did you end up doing?
I started with my first album. It was kind of like cumbias, because I thought that was kind of close,
Yeah, that's good.
It has a little accordion. I did a little bit of mariachi. I did a little bit of norteño. I started writing, and I started trying just different styles of music. Then I realized that banda was really hot in Las Vegas. I mean, banda is everywhere. So I said, okay, well, I'll do a banda album. So I did my first banda album, and that went really, really well. I was able to get played on a lot of radio stations. A lot of writers send me their material, really nice songs. And so I started writing also. So I had a lot of different songs in banda. I did 2 albums in banda.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And that was about the time that, I don't know if you know Jenny Rivera, but that was about the same time that she was coming up. So I was kind of, it was almost like they thought we were kind of similar.
Sure.
Even our personalities, because she was born in Long Beach, I was born in, San Fernando Valley. So I always was compared a little bit to her style.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. So then you got into the studio, and there was a song that you recorded that you were telling me about that did really well for you. Yeah. And it kind of like was a turning point.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that song.
Well, I was about 60 pounds heavier at that time when I really wanted to do my music. And I didn't realize how much that mattered to the industry, because I just wholeheartedly wanted to perform and wanted to sing. I didn't think about my image so much. I was a mom, and you know how that goes. You could barely get your hair combed, half the time.
You just stick it in a chongo and girl, go. Let's go.
But I started realizing the side of the business, the marketing side,
Right.
which a lot of people don't really take. And in different places, it's different. I mean, I notice in some states, the image is not as important of you being 102 pounds. You know what I mean? And size 0. But in some places, it is. They really don't want to give you the opportunities because of your image. So I was getting very frustrated, you know, because I would go on the radio stations. On the phone, they'd hear my voice. They're like, she sounds young. She sounds, you know, you have a picture of
what you think that artist looks like.
Yeah, and then when they walk in, you're like, whoa, that's not nothing.
Okay, that happened to me with Elton John. But you know what? I loved him so much, I didn't care what he looked like. In the beginning, I have to admit, I was disappointed. But after that, it was okay, because I loved his music so much.
Now with all these filters, you don't know who's who and what's what.
These filters today, OMG.
I mean, unless we could make, like, we could invent something where we walk around with a filter, I don't think anybody looks like the picture. I don't know.
It would be so cool. We could have like a Star Trek watch and